welcome to another edition of Rebelwatch. I'm your host, Cameron Hassan. Alongside me is NewsWatch sports anchor Jayson Kern and sports reporter Graeme Farrell. We have a lot of things to discuss tonight, but the biggest topic is the women's basketball team. They ended up losing in the NCAA tournament, so a sad loss, but how did you think they performed?
It was a sad loss, and when looking in the past, we talked how they always get a year better, and then this was a step back. So it's going to be interesting to see what Coach Yo, where she goes in this offseason. But looking at the game, I just feel like Notre Dame didn't miss. They were constantly putting in threes, constantly getting shots, but the biggest thing was the turnovers, just traveling and balls out of bounds. It just was ugly from the start. But like looking at the entire just game from afar, we didn't look that bad. The score does not say how we actually played. Our defense looked good. It's just they were hitting every single shot. And it was insanely frustrating watching because it was like, how are all these shots falling? They felt like every three went in. It felt like they were getting every N1 call. And it's not blaming the refs. It was just like I felt like the atmosphere and the environment, which was incredible. For a Monday at 1 o'clock, it was a sellout crowd. I thought that was absolutely insane. Good for Notre Dame women's sports. That was awesome. But again, it just was a super unfortunate game. But it's nothing that you can hang your. You just got to move on to next season because it was a really great season. You can't really let one game really just ruin the entire vibe of the whole season.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just Notre Dame, they were really well coached and very disciplined. You could see in the way that they played. Speak about the turnovers, their defense was just really good. Even though we had a couple of runs, there was also a run where we didn't score for multiple minutes. And that's going to hurt you in tournament games. It's the one game, elimination, nothing you can do about it. But like you said, it sucks that we didn't make it as far as we did last year. But, this regular season was more of a success. And it's unfortunate that one game comes down to the whole season.
Right.
And for it to end like this, Notre Dame's a good team. And the thing is, no need to hang your hat on it. It was a great season, most wins in conference play that they've ever had. Also, Coach Yo, third 20-win season in a row, so nothing to look like to be upset about. And we got Madison Scott coming back, so that's a huge get for the Rebs. So only bigger and better things coming from now.
Yeah, looking at that bracket, the games that would have happened after the Notre Dame game just look brutal. Oregon State and then would have to be probably South Carolina just to even make the Final Four would have just been a brutal stretch. But again. Like you said, so much success from this season, so much positive to look at. And yeah, you just can't let one game like that. Because, being a 7th seed, having to go 2, that's one thing I always thought about. I was watching all these games over the weekend, and I was like, I hate the home court advantage in women's basketball. I hate how
It is odd. I want them to go to a designated
neutral
location.
Site. Yeah, like Iowa was home crowd advantage. Like, this is a big, West Virginia went to their place. Iowa State went to overtime at Stanford. It's like, damn, if only there's a neutral site, who knows what actually would have happened. Like, we did the same thing last year at Stanford, and then this year at Notre Dame. It's like, I'm not saying it would be any different, but just like I just feel like there's a little bit of an advantage.
I kind of like it because it's kind of coming like the college football playoff. As you can see, the best teams get the home field advantage coming up. So you get rewarded for being one of the best teams in the country and playing well throughout the regular season. So there are going to be people who say yay or nay on both sides, but I like it.
When your team's good, you're going to like
it.
Yeah,
when your team's, but that's what happens. That's what comes with the sport.
Yeah, I wouldn't be saying that. If we had a home region at Oxford, 100%.
Oxford would be rocking if that happened.
Oh my gosh, they have a sold-out crowd for sure. But looking ahead to the rest of the tournament, who are y'all picking? Are y'all picking the big South Carolina, LSU train?
South Carolina. They just don't look like they can be beat. They scored 187 points and only let up 50 or something like that. It's just insane. All of their people are just all their players are just incredible, 5 stars. They know how to play basketball at a really high level, and it's just hard to beat when you have teams and you're coached by Dawn Staley, who is the best right now in women's college basketball. It's difficult. So,
yeah, not to try and be different, but it's South Carolina. They're not losing. Cardoza, she is insane. She just stands. All she needs to do is stand under the hoop, put her hands up, and no one's scoring. It's just watching her face off. And then coming up, we're gonna have LSU versus Iowa, which is gonna be really, really interesting to see. like, because that's a rematch of the championship from last year. I'm not getting ahead of myself because we're not there yet. They both need to win one more game, but it's the more likely situation. So I'd love to see that. But again, I think UConn wins out of that side, and I think South Carolina comes out of the other side. And I just think it's going to be like a 30-point blowout, and it's just going to completely wipe the floor because they blew. I thought UNC was going to be a really good match for them. I was like, UNC had a great year, and then they got blown out by 40. It was incredible, but. Again, you never know. It's March. You never know.
Yeah. Originally, I thought maybe Caitlin Clark was going to pull it off, but I mean, South Carolina is obviously looking too good. But did y'all see the drama with Caitlin Clark's dad and him yelling at her in the crowd?
Because she is like.
What do you think was happening there?
Well, she's a very competitive player. You can tell that by watching her, but she was getting a little too rowdy. Like she was throwing the basketball off her head and screaming at teammates, and he was like, "Get her!" You read the lips. He was like, "Get her out of this game." I'm like, if your dad is telling the daughter, that's some tough love. But I mean, I thought that was super interesting. That like the face of women's basketball right now is getting her yelled at by her dad in the middle of the March Madness tournament. Super interesting. Super interesting.
Yeah.
It's a dad in sports.
Yeah.
They're gonna do whatever.
They're always gonna be passionate.
They're gonna
about
keep
it.
they're gonna put their 2 cents worth in and always try to be heard. But just try to let her do her game.
100%.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see who ends up winning the championship. But we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about the Ole Miss baseball team.
It's that time of the year again, fellas. When the mornings are hot, the afternoons are hotter, and football is on its way back. Now, games is won by the battles fought in August. Everyone that's not revered as an Ole Miss legend has been in your shoes before, trying to survive that Mississippi heat, competing for a spot, and knowing the sacrifice that it takes to make it in this league. You go into this money collection of men from 100 different places, and if you work, you emerge from it as one team with one goal and one heartbeat. The SEC awaits you. And if they don't know who you are now, they will soon.
Where are we gonna go? Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like wine. Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called
Oxford, Mississippi. To see it is to believe it. You hear about it, but you just have to see the party. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grove. The sound and fury are here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Getting out of toe down. Pageantry, the pride, the pomp is unmatched and unrivaled. This stadium has come unhinged. This is what college football is all about. Oh, she gets walloped. No coach is having more fun than Andrew. This is the place to be in college football right now.
Welcome back. Well, we're now going to be talking about the Ole Miss baseball team. They are now back to Oxford after being on the road last week against Tennessee. Kind of a weird series, got blown out 2 games, but ended up winning that second game. How did you think, were you shocked by that? Not obviously shocked, but kind of odd.
It was a roller coaster of a series, I would say, emotions-wise, for the Rebs baseball team. Because that first game, obviously.
Especially the run rule.
Yeah, the run rule. And then, like, that second game to, have Liam Doyle. He's been a star so far. First Rebs pitcher since Dylan DeLucia to have 10 Ks in back-to-back games, which is incredible. Also, Andrew Fisher with already 4 multi-home run games. He's been raking. But then to have that comeback win and, kind of feel like the momentum is swinging your way, and then come out in that third game and just to get run ruled. And just kind of it's deflating because, you thought you can go and get that game. It would be a huge, rubber match, and it would be a really big game, especially with the Southeastern Conference being as, hard as it is. And to win on the road, it's difficult. But, sometimes you're going to have games like this. The bats were popping for Tennessee. They had 9 home runs in only 2 of the games, not even 3. So our pitching was, they were getting lit up. The starters didn't do well, didn't really go at the distance. Sancier was, questionable in that third start especially. But, with the Austin PA game, you could see the bats came out. But looking forward to this Kentucky series, it's going to be difficult because they're now number 1 in the East for the SEC. And they're a good team. They're ranked 24th now. They weren't ranked before. So we're going to have to see. It's going to be a good matchup, and it's going to be at home. We need to win these games. But shout out to, the team also winning the weekday mid games. Like I said before, those are the difference between you having a regional or having a super regional.
Yeah, 100%. And what also is happening this weekend is Doyle staying on the Saturday start, but they're going with Riley Maddox to start Friday's matchup, which is interesting because he used to be the weekday starter. He started against Southern Miss last week, looked great. Dennis isn't bad. He got moved to the Sunday spot, so it's going to be Maddox, Doyle on Saturday, then Dennis is going to pitch, and Saunier is going to come out of the bullpen this weekend, which I'm good with. This is the time where you want to play around a little bit before we start getting into the meat of the SEC schedule. You want to figure out, because again, 2 years ago we won a championship. Elliott came out of the bullpen, DeLucia came out of the bullpen. You didn't know who they were, but now Doyle, again, like you said, he's just been absolutely fantastic. Tennessee's home runner bust, and they really were just. It felt like every single time. There was just it was like the worst spots also with guys on. But to look at the positives, we broke their 20-game home win streak on that Saturday game. We almost blew it, but we didn't. At a big top of the 9th, which was fantastic. We really needed it. Luke Hill with the bat throw to first, scored 2 to tie it, and then the sac fly in the bottom of the 8th. Really just. As I was watching that, they hit that sac fly, take the lead in the bottom of the 8th, and I was like, this is really how we're going to lose this game. But they completely proved me wrong in the top of the 9th, and that's a huge, huge win. But when you look at the bigger picture of the SEC this year, we beat South Carolina. They just swept Vandy over the weekend. Alabama beat Tennessee a series last weekend, and then got swept by Georgia. So this is such a crazy time, and this is such an important series when you look at it because we have Kentucky, but then we have to go to Fayetteville next weekend, which they're number 1 in the nation, and a road game is not going to be too fun there. Road series is not going to be too fun there, and then we host State, and we've not had too great of success against State in baseball. So I just think don't aim for the sweep. The sweep would be nice, but you have to win this series.
Yeah.
And again,
because you don't know what's ahead, so you need to get something under your belt.
And we kind of an unfortunate start in SEC play. We had to rank South Carolina. We handled business there. Then had to go to number 8 Tennessee on the road. No one really wins in Tennessee. They're always an amazing team at home. And then home now against Kentucky. The theme of the SEC has been the home team always gets the upper hand. That's what I've seen throughout the series. So again, this is going to be huge, and I really hope, because you look last weekend, Groff has been the leadoff for their entire season, and then they put Jackson Ross in the 1 slot. Super interesting, and then Groff went to the 4, and then yesterday 2 days ago against Austin Peay, Luke Hill led off, and it's just been Bianco. You could tell he's playing around with the line because he doesn't know yet, and I'm good with it. I'm curious to see what he has this weekend. But yeah, this is a massive series. I shouldn't be saying it's a massive series this early in the SEC play. Well, I guess the positive is that we're 3-3 in SEC play, and we had 6 SEC wins last year. So we're halfway there.
So exactly.
We're halfway there. So this is the positives. But
like I said before, I just like going in feeling a little bit of hope, but nothing feels impossible. I feel like last year everything was just too big of an ask.
Yeah. So well,
things are looking up.
That's the championship drought. State didn't make the postseason. We didn't make the postseason. LSU.
It's just a curse, but apparently it's happening to LSU.
LSU's not looking too hot. LSU's not looking too hot. They just lost to Florida at home. Florida's really good.
But it just shows you how difficult the SEC is.
Exactly.
Look at our three series. They're against ranked teams.
Right.
And that's just what happens.
And then the number 1 team next to you.
Yeah, the most
and then State's also ranked.
Conference in college baseball. It's what happens. It's just like football. It's like every single team has a chance to beat the others, no matter who they are, because it's just hard enough to beat another team just to begin with 1 game. So it's hard to take a series long enough. So we'll see what happens. I hope we beat them.
Game by game.
Yeah.
Game by game. But I just, when you looked at the Tennessee game, that first game, Dennis looked great the first 3 innings, and then it was the Trayson Hughes try to throw a guy at home, missed the tag at home, and then just the wheels came off the bus. There was the run scored there, then a 3-run home run after, then a solo shot to make it 5-0, and that was all with 2 outs. That just completely just took the momentum away. But just we need to score first. We got to score early and first, and that's our big thing. Like against Tennessee, we just let them just. We were playing from behind that entire weekend, besides the Saturday game. But I just feel like we've been playing behind a lot recently. So just getting the bats hot in the first couple innings, and then letting the pitching. Because I feel like if we have a lead, then it'll settle Dennis in, it'll settle Maddox in a little bit. Because Maddox played with the lead against Southern Miss, and again, it's so early to tell who's actually going to be in this rotation. But I think this is going to be a really important weekend for Maddox to start the Friday game and see if he can actually.
If he can step up to the plate.
100%. Yes, I like that. Come on.
Well, hopefully the Rebs are able to get the important series win this weekend. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Rebel softball team.
Ole Miss 18th NCAA tournament appearance.
This is fun, folks, as Baker's peeling it. Little heat check. Snow Collins for 3.
Said, I love Madison Scott.
Ole Miss Rebels are having a lot of fun, and you can see why.
My passion is journalism. Here at the University of Mississippi, we produce a nightly half-hour newscast, broadcasting regionally on cable and globally on the World Wide Web. It's the kind of experience that is preparing me to walk into any news station in the country with the skills and abilities I need to succeed. So it's not just preparing me for the real world, it is the real world.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Welcome back. Well, we're now going to be talking about the softball team and what they've been up to. They had a huge win against LSU not too long ago, but then they hosted Georgia at home this weekend, and they got swept, which was kind of interesting. Yes, Georgia was a top 5 team, but at the same time, you thought maybe we'd be able to pull off the series, maybe one win.
Yeah, it was difficult, especially, they came out flat. With the first game, you try to set the tone of the series, but to get shut out 7-0, that's definitely difficult. And then next game, just a nail biter. You lose in extra innings, which, just takes the complete wind out of your sails. And then coming into game 3, it was just, the team just seemed like they were just out of it.
It was just an uphill battle.
They fought in the third game, but it just ended up not going their way. And getting swept after that LSU series is difficult because, hey, we thought we were going to ride this momentum into possibly forming a great season, even maybe a possibility, with that hot start, let's go for SEC championship. And it's just now it's a little bit of a damp on the team, but now you got South Carolina coming up and they're ranked and you're back at home. You can't allow this to happen again. You got to come out hot. You got to have your pitching be good. You got to just be smart fundamentally when it comes to all-around games. So hopefully the girls are able to do it and that they stay hot.
Yeah, that because it was a doubleheader on Saturday, so the first game was not pretty. The second game was so tough because we were down 7-2, and I was like, oh man, like this is another ugly game. And then they fought all the way back to tie it at 7 late, and like just to have an amazing comeback, just to lose 10-7 in extras. I think that was the reason why you saw the team was just so out of it. And then when they played 2 games the day before, and then the second game they just totally got their hearts broken after an amazing comeback. It's such a tough way to look at it because Friday should have been a better game, but that Saturday game we really had an amazing comeback, and just to lose the way we did, it was the theme of the weekend was walks. It was just walk after walk after walk, and it really would have been a different outcome this week. We at least would have won a game if we just limit to half the walks we had. It just was not. It was just watching it. Just feel like it would walk and runs, and then you would walk the bases loaded, and then they would get a hit with the bases loaded after, and they would always find a way to come back and kill us. It wasn't like the pitching wasn't giving up a lot of hits. It was just they couldn't find the zone. And again, another opportunity this weekend. Had a whole week off, no midweek, so they're coming back home, or they're staying home. And yes, South Carolina's ranked. So this again. But when you look, you got to look at the bigger picture. You got ranked, but also you win this series. You've won 2 of the 3 first series in SEC play, which is number one. It's really hard because it's SEC, and every team is good in the SEC. But those are all 3 ranked opponents. So yeah, we got swept, but you could also win 2 of the 3 series, whatever the phrase.
Or 4 because we played Mississippi State and we lost that too.
That's right. So you can. That's right. Thank you.
You're
Appreciate that. Oh my
yes.
God. Yes. So you can make it 2-2 to start the series. We didn't get swept by State. We won a game, and then that LSU, it was crazy. Yeah, LSU was in Baton Rouge. How much of a fluke was that?
Right. I was like, wow, we're gonna be like top 10. We're gonna be so good.
Yeah. I was like, I tuned in. I was like, let's go. We got a big series. Let's show the world we could actually be ranked. And then they got swept. It really just. I wouldn't say it breaks your heart. Just like it's a head scratcher.
It just gives some
just
confusion
like
there.
How does that? But again. Win the series, sweep the series, and we're back.
Yeah, for
sweep
sure.
the series.
Well, hopefully that's exactly what the Lady Rebs do. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the NCAA men's tournament.
The dynamic freshman is starting to make his impact.
Dagger with the shot clock down to 1.
That 3-ball drops for Jamin Brakefield.
Fagan from the corner with a triple. Farrell for 3, and that's a big response. 3-ball, yes. Miss shooting lights out of the pavilion.
And give him one more. Wow.
Alley-oop. Well, you can't teach that. Well, that should give Ole Miss a boost.
Creating a legacy takes time, takes dedication, spirit, and a greater vision. That vision starts here at the University of Mississippi. What will you be remembered by? Your character, your contributions, your friendship. Your legacy will define who we are now and who we are becoming for our state, our students, and our future. Ole Miss, build your legacy.
We are rebels. For more than 160 years, we've been accomplishing the impossible, from conducting the world's first lung transplant to helping prove Einstein was right. From preserving the past to saving the future. We are Mississippi's flagship university, a place where passion and learning unite, where friends become family, where small-town charm meets world-class innovation. We are the University of Mississippi. We are Ole Miss.
Welcome back. Well, March Madness is in full swing, and the men's NCAA tournament has definitely had some interesting games. How are y'all's brackets doing? Your picks still doing good?
Awful. Awful. I'm like 42%, like a rank of 15.5 million. Yeah, just completely Auburn and Kentucky ruined me. I can't believe that, especially just the SEC, the way that they've performed in this tournament. And it's funny because Greg Sankey was actually the one commissioner of the SEC was saying that we should, let's stop inviting all the mid-major, programs because it's just they're not going to be able to compete. And you have two of your teams lose to Yale and lose to Oakland. It's just interesting to have that happen and just to have them go 5-6 overall, while the ACC is going 8-1. Duke, North Carolina, NC State, and Clemson just been, they've been playing good basketball. So I think, though, going from here on out, I think it's just going to be number 1 seeds in the final. I think it's going to be UConn and Houston. Their defense just seems too much for every single team that they've played. They've played, I'd say Houston, that their games have been close a little bit. UConn's done what they did last year, blowing teams out. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. First off, shout out Jack Golke. Where the heck did this guy come from? It was insane. And one of the greatest quotes he had after was like, "We're not a Cinderella," which I thought was so interesting. I was like, you guys just beat Kentucky, like one of the bigger upsets of the tournament. And he's saying that they're not a Cinderella. Yeah, they lost in the next game, in a really good game to NC State. But again, that was just it. I saw a video of it was Auburn versus Yale. Auburn had a big watch party. Everyone was drinking, having fun, and then Yale's watch party was like all these like dudes dressed in nice, sipping wine. And if I was an Auburn fan and I saw that their fans' watch party was just sipping wine at a little country club or whatever, I'd been like, damn, this is who we just lost to.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy, but like again, it's just March. You can say it over and over again. This is March. You don't know. And like Clemson beating Baylor, that was another big shock because I had Baylor in my Final Four.
Me too.
It's just Clemson's been good all year. I will say they've been really good all year, so that really isn't a shock to me. NC State, they got hot late and won the ACC tournament, and now they're still hot. And it's fun. It's fun to see teams like that like actually go on a run and like shot
Yeah, it's kind of nice, I will say, because now they're 11 seed, and I don't think there's another seed higher than SDSU, which is San Diego State, which is now 5. So it's kind of nice because you can actually just put all of your Cinderella effort into NC State. You don't have to cheer for all these other teams because usually when they do lose, they lose by 20.
Helps that we beat them by 20. So
yeah.
It feels a little better on our part.
Yeah, but with DJ Burns and NC State, he's been an animal. He's just, no one can defend him in the post, and he's such a good passer that when he goes down in the post and everyone collapses on him, he just finds his guys for threes. And that's why I think they've had such success with this ACC tournament and March Madness tournament run. So I'm excited to see. I want them to beat Marquette.
Yeah, that's going to be a really, really good game because Marquette, they're a really good team, but they went down to the wire with Colorado. And Colorado was a really good team, but Colorado had another really big center in Lampkin who transferred from TCU. And now from one lineman of a center to another lineman of a center, it's gonna be really fun to watch. And you have Iowa State and Illinois, which is gonna be a really, really good game. But there's just so many, and this is usually the Sweet 16 there's a bunch of boring games. Every single game is that is going to be super interesting. UConn, they have the biggest spread out of anyone. I think the UConn, they just look so good, and it's you don't want to, you sit here and be that's the obvious pick. Hey, it's the obvious pick for a reason. They are good at everything they do, and I just think that they're going to just blow through everyone and they're going to win it all. I said Iowa State last week, but after watching a couple games from last week to now, no one's beating them. I think it's kind of
really,
and I agree with you.
Because 2 days ago you said Iowa State was still winning.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I have Iowa State winning my bracket, but my bracket again, like yours, is so just far gone that it'd be cool. I had Iowa State, yeah, I called it. I mean, I just say it as I see it, and I just think that Purdue, wow, they totally blew out. Utah State.
Yeah.
Totally, it wasn't close. They put up 106 points, the most ever by Utah in a tournament game or ever. I forgot what the stat exactly was. I just think 3 1 seeds are going to be in besides UNC. I don't know, like Bama's, that's going to be a really interesting matchup because Bama, if their offense, like last game against GCU it wasn't great. But when that Bama offense is rolling, they'll put up 100+ points in a game with ease. Yeah, that UNC team is so experienced, and they're the oldest team with Baycott. They're just so, and they're coached super well. So that's why I can't wait to watch that matchup. I'll say that's going to be really fun.
I just will say, I think, because you said 3 number 1 seeds, obviously you're talking about Purdue as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude, it hasn't been talked about enough. Gonzaga, 9 straight Sweet 16 appearances. That's incredible. Mark Few, just a great coach. So I think they have a chance, maybe actually make a national title run. They're my sleeper pick.
They're the classic, make it to the finals and lose, make it to the Final Four and lose.
They
They've always
have that history.
They always get there, but can't finish. And it's like, this is like they had the Chet Holmgrens, the Drew Timme, Suggs. They always have like some big star on their team. And now, like, I'm not saying they don't have a star. Watson's really, really good, but he's not like the Drew Timme, the Chet Holmgren star. So to see a Gonzaga team win it all with like the least hyped Gonzaga team in a long time, that would be incredible. On Few's part, that's just coaching. That's all it is coaching, and you don't need a star to win a championship. So part of me like wants to pull for an NC State, wants to pull for a Gonzaga, but it shows the difference between winning. Like, you have Kyle Perry's like, oh, we produce NBA talent, and then you have UConn is like, oh, like we're only focused on like the game because Kentucky produces a ton of NBA, but UConn, it's just the way they play. It's so easy to watch with Cam Spencer and Tristan Newton.
Dan Hurley, that New Jersey
Dan
nothing.
Hurley, and it's a whole coaching family. He's been around basketball his entire life, and you shows like how much, like, even though he won a championship, the way you look at him, you wouldn't think he's won anything in years. Like, he's just so unsatisfied with everything, which is the kind of coach that you want.
For sure.
For sure.
No, that's great. That was great. But will be interesting to see how everything plays out, especially in the next 2 days with the Sweet 16 matchups. But that's all we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to tune in next week. And thank you and good night.